Today we're going to be showing love to the hog mollies, the big boys up front. I'm going to be giving you my top 10 centers and guards in the 2024 NFL draft class, but don't fret, I'm going to touch on tackles a little bit later today. Let's go ahead, get into number 10, Zak Zinter out of Michigan, coming in at 6'6", 322 pounds. Unfortunately, did end the year with a bit of a gruesome leg injury, but apparently he's expected to be ready to go for his pro day, so okay, let's go. We'll see, but he has been just a phenomenal player for Michigan. He truly has. This is a guy that's go back to his high school. He's done track and field, of course. Anytime these big boys do track and field, you know it's shot put, you know it's discus, and he did that back in high school. He actually has his high school record in the shot put. Love to see it. He has been a starter since day one. He started all 6 games in 2020. And if you recall, that was a shortened season. And he has been their right guard for the last 4 years. And he's done a phenomenal job at it. He really has solid size, plays with good depth despite being tall. He actually does, I think, a good job getting low in leverage. Just good knee flexion. He's really just able to sink, and I like that. I really do like that. And he packs just a ton of power on his frame. A ton of power. I know like a year ago there was this then Twitter, now X, clip of him against Penn State, just like molly-whopping one defender and then going, looking at the next like, yeah, I'm going to put you on the ground too. It was a very sexy clip. He just plays with that mean streak. He has that power along his frame. I think his hand, he plays with a lot of violence in his hands. You just really like that. He shows good awareness in pass protection. He understands just blocking angles. He's able to pick up twists and stunts and whatnot. Now, not the most agile athlete in the world, to be fair. Most of them aren't. But a guy that I don't think you're going to, like, I'm not saying he can't be like a puller or like succeed in an outside zone blocking scheme, but I think at best, like Zak Zinter at his best is going to be like a gap guard. That's my opinion. But nah, man, honestly, the injury might take him out of day 2. Currently got a 4th round grade on him, but pretty darn close. He's in a very good class, so some of the guys just got kind of pushed up to the front. At number 9, I got Dominick Puni out of Kansas, coming in at 6'5", 320 pounds. He actually played left tackle this past season, made first team All Big 12 for Kansas. He did play left guard the prior year. And prior to that, he spent 4 years at Central Missouri. So a long road here for Dominick Puni. But man, he is getting it done. Good size, moves exceptionally well. Doesn't surprise me that they were playing him at the left tackle spot. And mind you, he beat out Logan Brown, who was coming over from Wisconsin, who was a highly decorated recruit. So it's kind of big. Dude has the ability to be a puller. I love the lateral quicks. I love the overall like movement skills from him. Overall footwork is really good. He plays with a good wide base. He's very smooth in his like kick slide, or when he needs to drop back into I almost said coverage, drop back into pass protection. But yeah, man, he's really good. Plays with good leg drive as well as a run blocker. And honestly, man, like he packs some good upper body strength. Like he is very active with his hands. He's able to deliver some crushing blows. You love the experience of tackling and guard, but I think all in all, he probably ideally plays guard at the next level, just because I think there are times you would see where he just kind of struggles blocking out in space. The hand placement out in space is just not nearly as good as it is when he's like working in a phone booth. He sometimes will attack with wide hands and just kind of leave that strike zone, leave the chest, the pads just open to defenders. And the anchor, this was kind of a big thing. The anchor is a bit consistent, and I think that a lot of that just kind of stems with how tall he plays. He would be a little bit taller for the guard position. Not terrible, but being a taller guy, the taller guys typically, usually you'll see them just not be able to get down as well and get that leverage. But I think he has the ability, he has the flexibility, I should say, to do that or to be better at that. Currently, I kind of see him as like an outside zone guard, swing tackle type. Got a 4th round grade on him. He's kind of this fringe day 2 player for me currently. And then at number 8, I got Zak Frazier coming out of West Virginia. Mountain Mama, take me home. Coming in at 6'3", 310 pounds. And another guy who had a late year injury. I thought initially it was a broken leg, but like from what I'm seeing, because like it's wild what the recovery time can be for a broken leg. It could be as soon as like a month and a half, 2 months, or it could even take a year. So it kind of depends on how big the injury was. But from what I heard, man, he's planning to be ready for camp. So like, don't really know how long he will be out. He did just have surgery in December, so something we kind of need to find out. But I'd be willing to take a shot on this guy in the third round, even if he honestly had to redshirt his rookie season, because he's just been that good and that solid for West Virginia the last 4 years. He was a All-American or All-Freshman first team at the guard position in 2020, moved to center, and he's been the star center for the Mountaineers for the last 3 years. Dude's been great. And I mean, honestly, to make things even better, when he maybe broke his leg or whatever the injury was, instead of forcing the team to take a timeout, the dude bear crawled to the sideline. So, dude's just got massive balls. Golly. He is really good out of his stance, fires out of his stance. He's got a relatively good, at least a bit lower center of gravity. There we go. So he actually plays with good leverage and fires out of that stance, and just really good at the point of attack, kind of like a pooper scooper. If that analogy means anything to you, basically just gets in there and that's kind of Frazier out of his stance. He's a guy, being a former wrestler in high school too, that he loves just get into business. He's a mauler through and through. Again, talked about like the short, or at least the natural leverage he plays with, wanting to win at the point of attack. He packs a lot of power in his frame. Great grip strength. If you get caught dancing with him, you could be dancing with him for the remainder of that snap. And honestly, when he gets out in space or climbs to the second level, he like shows good coordination and straight line speed. Like he plays with that NFL nasty too. Like he plays with a mean streak. He wants to bury guys freaking 6 feet deep, and the NFL's just gonna love that. They're gonna love that about him. Very patient in pass protection and does a good job of not overextending or reaching when engaging defenders. But I will say, his feet on initial, he's not a guy that will keep his feet moving through contact. He will occasionally like stop and stop his feet on contact. He lacks a little bit of a length, so he's kind of have to lunge in some departments to get to that point of attack or force engagement. But I mean, at the end of the day, like the speed, it's fine enough. The quicks, it's fine enough. He brings that NFL mean streak. He brings NFL power. I think he's just going to be a very good player at the next level. So got him here at 8. At number 7, I got Sedrick Van-Pran out of Georgia, coming in at 6'4", 310 pounds. He became the full-time starter in 2021, where he started more percentage of snaps than any other Bulldog on the team. Just kind of wild. He has started essentially every game at center for the Bulldogs for the last 3 seasons. He's been a guy that everyone's had their eye on for quite some time. You go back to his what he did in high school. He's another guy that competed in track and field, and he placed 7th in the shot put in Louisiana, and that was with a 47 feet 10.5 inches throw. Golly. He was also the regional runner-up in shot put and a qualifier in the discus and javelin. So, golly, man. Dude's got some arm power, man. Maybe he should be playing quarterback. But he's a very explosive athlete. Like, he shows good foot speed and does a good job climbing to the second level, plays with a big motor. He just plays with a good understanding of blocking angles, and he does a good job, honestly, when he gets out in space. Like, if they're running like a screen, whether it's like a running back screen, bubble screen, wide receiver screen, whatever the heck it may be, and they need him to pull out there in space, he can do it, and he can do it exceptionally well. Yeah, he has good anchor. He shows good core strength. You never see him get bent backwards, which love to see. You don't want to see those waist benders. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's not like Zach Frazier type of mean streak when it comes to how he plays in like the run game or whatnot. But I think it's good enough. Like, I don't necessarily think he plays with that edge, but he doesn't play soft by any means. So, I mean, I think like it's wild. Like, sometimes you'll be watching him and like in the run game, and it's like, oh man, he just buried that dude. Love to see it. Then other times he's functioning more as a wall rather than an actual bulldozer, if you know what I mean there. But he's got good pop in his hands, man. There's a lot to really like about Sedrick Van-Pran. However, I will say he does play a bit off balance sometimes, so maybe there's a little reluctancy to really get aggressive and nasty in the run game, because I mean there's a lot of snaps you find this cat on the ground, and it's because he gets stuck lunging at the second level, or when he's asked to be kind of a puller or get out there in space. Just needs to do a better job of keeping his feet moving while hitting initial contact. He will struggle sometimes sustaining blocks in the run game. Part of that is maybe a lack of I don't even want to say it's a lack of upper body strength, but maybe it's just functional strength. You know, it's like I think he's got good upper body, man. It's just, how are you using it, you know? But like, all in all, like, really it's the balance issues, the contact balance you kind of worry about. But I don't know. I see this guy being a long time starting center in the NFL. Got a 3rd round grade on him. I think ideally you're going to be working this guy in like an inside zone gap heavy scheme. But big fan. Oh, that is good. Before we get to number 6, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So, go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below, where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. I will be releasing my top 10 offensive tackles in this class later today. But if you want to check out my corners, I got that video out. I got QBs. I got safeties. I got running backs. Check those videos out. We're going to be pumping these prospect rankings out all throughout the week. But let's go ahead, get to number 6. It's Christian Mahogany out of Boston College, coming in at 6'3", 322 pounds. Honestly, a guy that probably would have came out came out of the 2022 season if not for tearing his ACL prior to the opener and having to miss the whole season. So he returned here in 2023 to show, hey, I'm the same guy you saw on tape prior. I am him, and I think he did a good job of that. He ended up making first team all ACC. And the dude's a mauler, man. Like, he could easily overwhelm defenders just with a very explosive lower body, legs. He just continue to move through contact like a machine. He actually shows pretty darn good movement skills as well. Climbs to the second level pretty solid. And he has that he has that nasty. He just wants to obliterate defenders. He sure does. Thick build too, shows good core strength when taking on bull rushers. One of the best games. Like, this is what put him on the map for me a couple of years ago, was against Clemson's just very dominant defensive line back in 2001, where he just manhandled them one after the other. It was very impressive. His cat throws very jarring hands, a lot of power in those hands. He could literally just stop a guy dead in his tracks. Strong grip, plays with good leverage, and understands how blocking angles work. He's received very high praise from the coaching staff there in Boston College, as they've compared him quite a bit to Zion Johnson, if you don't remember, was a first rounder in the 2022 NFL draft. He is coming off the ACL injury, but he took his rehab very seriously, and he was back up to snuff this past season, so I'm not too worried about it, excuse me. He has this awkward stance where he's kind of hunched over. Hasn't really worked to his detriment, but it is something you're like, oh, that's kind of funky. Like, it doesn't take away from his like get off or anything, so I don't know. It's probably just a non-worry. It's more of a cosmetic thing, I guess. And typically, he does like to rely on his thick frame when containing quicker pass rushers. I'm kind of curious what his length will be, but it's not like this guy's going to bring you like insane quicks, but I think they're fine enough for the position. I honestly think you could put him in any scheme, and he would work well. He's likely probably a guard only, though. I would pin him at guard only, but I'm a big fan of Christian Mahogany. Glad that he had a really good year after the ACL tear in 2022. At number 5, I got Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State, coming in at 6'4", 335 pounds. He has been a long time starter there for the Wildcats. He started 7 games at right tackle in 2020 before moving to left guard. He was a left tackle in 2021, where he got put on a lot of people's watch list at that point. Moved to left guard in 2022, and a lot of people were surprised he decided to return to school for 2023, but he did, and he has just been dominant throughout his whole stay there at Kansas State. Plays actually kind of light for a 330-pounder. Like, he's someone that can go out and stretch block. Like, I think he's relatively athletic for his build. But still, man, he's jam-packed with a ton of power. That's his game. He plays with power and balance. Power and balance. He can overwhelm defenders right from the point of attack. Strong hands, great grip strength. Once he's got his hands on you, you're basically bent to his whim. Mind that with pretty solid feet and that nasty mentality the NFL just loves when it comes to run blockers. And you're looking at probably a long-time NFL starter. Very disciplined with his technique, and he was a guy that hardly lost at tackle and at guard. I mean, just look. I mean, he only allowed, 9 pressures this past year. Did allow a sack, which I think that was more than actually 2022 and 2021 combined. But the dude is just a good, coaches praise his work ethic, his film study. You love to hear that. But I will say that as a run blocker, sometimes he could get caught being a little bit of a lunger, and it's honestly, you're going to see that from all these guys in this class. It kind of is what it is. I did say he moves well for his size, but honestly, his skill set is tailor-made for like a power gap blocking scheme. He's got foot quickness. His movement skills are fine, but they're not high end enough, I think, for an outside zone blocking scheme or a wide zone blocking scheme. I think there's only going to be a few schemes out there that'll be looking for the services of Cooper Beebe. But the ones that are, like, he could be a very high level starter there for him. Honestly, there's not a lot to dislike about him. Like, the stuff is like far and few between. You're just looking at a really good prospect when you look at Cooper Beebe. But at number 4, I got Christian Haynes out of Connecticut, coming in at 6'2", 313. He has been a starter since 2019 for the Huskies. I thought he would have came out last year, decided to return another year, was like, okay, I'm first team all independent again. I guess I'll go ahead and declare now that I have no more eligibility left. But dude's a good prospect, man. He wrestled in high school, and you can kind of tell that, man. He plays with that nasty nature. Again, you're going to keep hearing this when it talks about the offensive line, because NFL, they love those guys that just play with that sort of edge, you know? But Mueller in the run game, I think he uses his hands relatively well. His technique has come leap and bounds over the course of his career, and you can see a little bit of that wrestling background. He's quick out of his stance. He hits hard at the point of attack. He's a very physical pass protector with a very good anchor, very good punch, and a very smooth mover. Quick feet, covers a lot of ground. There's little wasted movement when we're talking about Christian Haynes. Now, I think he probably going to have a future at center, but he has been a right guard for the better part of the last 5 years for the Huskies. Because you're going to look at that size, 6'2", 313. He's short. That feels like, he's giving me real center vibes. So I think he's going to be at the Senior Bowl, and I think he's probably going to get worked out a ton at center. So I'm very, very curious to see how that goes. He has struggled sometimes with gaining and maintaining leverage. Like, I feel like sometimes he just plays tall. And it's kind of weird for a shorter guy to do that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan of Haynes. He's been a guy I've talked about quite a bit. If you ever listen to like me and Alex from Hail Mary Sports, when we do mock drafts or just talk about draft prospects in general. I know he's an even bigger fan of Christian Haynes is because he's a very, very good prospect. And before we get to number 3, if you want to know more about these prospects, then check out my draft guide. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment, and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. At number 3, I have Graham Barton out of Duke, coming in at 6'5", 314. Very interested that he was recruited as a guard. Also played lacrosse, wow. But recruited as a guard and then started his career as a center in 2020. He played in the final 6 games with 5 starts at center. But then they kicked this guy to left tackle, and he has been the starter since 2021. He has been back-to-back first-team All-ACC. He's been good at tackle. However, there are some things I think just work better for him on the interior. I guess probably starting with his cons is a better way to do this, but there are times where he overextends at the point of attack, which I'm kind of curious what the length will be. Again, since he's playing tackle, it's more noticeable, but I am curious what he's going to end up measuring out at. It does become a bit of a lunger because of that at the second level. Doesn't keep his feet moving on strikes, and he can get caught having to make up a lot of ground. I mean, there are times you see him having to like ride defenders past the pocket. Like, I like the recovery skills of Barton, but like all in all, I think there are a few things there that can be avoided when it comes to just how he uses his feet when he does deliver strikes. And I'm gonna be honest, man, most of his losses have come on inside moves. which just tells me, yeah, just move this guy to the interior. Like, where you're kind of hoping that could be mitigated. But the dude's got really good movement skills. He explodes out of his stance. He gets out in front of screens, stretch plays with bad intentions. That's right. You're going to hear it again. Plays with that NFL nasty. He does. And it's not just screenplays, but like you just see that want, that need, that desire to just bury defenders. Like the play strength on him is really good, and he has some serious pop in his hands. Good hand placement usually, and he anchors well enough to keep defenders from pushing the pocket. And he's just very, very good at understanding angles and like, especially like combo blocks when he's getting upfield. I like that as well. But he's gonna have versatility. Is he a tackle? Can he play tackle in the NFL? Potentially, but I think he's probably better suited at guard or center. I think that's probably gonna be more of the wheelhouse. Another guy that will be at Mobile, and I can't wait to see. But at number 2, Troy Fautanu. Out of Washington, coming in at 6'4", 317. He also played left tackle this past season. And in all honesty, man, it's another guy where arm length is going to be key for him. And I'm not going to rule out him playing tackle in the NFL, but man, you feel really good about him as a guard. You really, really do. He has been a starter, a full-time starter since 2022. Where he's basically played every game at left tackle. But you go to 2021, he had like 3 starts, 2 at left tackle, 1 at left guard. But he has predominantly only played one side of the football. I say one side of the football, one side of the offensive line, being the left. And the dude is a very agile mover, but also he's very stout at the point of attack. Like his hands are precise. He'll latch on, lock up, and he will throw impressive punches in the run game and will just hit defenders while on the move. Gets out of his stance quick. He moves his feet through contact. Again, not a lot to dislike. I do think he's much better in a phone booth. At least he was at tackle, in my opinion. I think it just kind of changes if you perceive him as a guard. I don't really think he is a phone booth blocker, or at least he is only a phone booth blocker. But again, we're only seeing him at tackle. I imagine what he can do just kind of expands a bit more at the guard position. But he shows good upper body strength, like possesses a lot of pop in his hands. However, you do see him having to overextend in the run game when on the outside. It's just a fact of the matter. The hand placement could be a little bit better when in pass protection. Sometimes he does get a little bit too aggressive and results in him losing balance. But like all in all, man, we're talking about a first round prospect. The nitpicks are few and far between. I may not be as high as like the general consensus. Like, I don't know if I'd be willing to take him inside the top 20, but I don't hate it necessarily. But you get to that like back end of the first round, and you're like, yeah, I'd be willing to pull the trigger on him because we're talking about teams that are a bit more complete. But at number 1, it's Jackson Powers-Johnson. If you're not new to the channel, then you knew this was coming. Jackson Powers-Johnson was coming. Coming in at 6'3", 320 pounds. This dude was a former 4-star recruit from the 2021 class. He was the top center recruit in the country, played baseball and wrestling in high school. As a freshman, he played in 8 games with 3 starts, 1 at left guard, right tackle, and nose tackle? Mamma mia. That's right, we're talking about the defensive end of things. Yeah, no, I have it wrote down in here that in the bowl game in 2021, he started at nose tackle. That's wild. So in 2022, he was mainly playing right guard. He was heavily used in the rotation, but I think he only had 1 start that year. And then this year, he's like, they're like, hey, you're our starting center, go get it. He was like, enough said, first team All-American. He won the Remington Trophy. The guy was great. This guy is pure meat and power. He can displace plus 300-pound men. No problems asked. Like, the sheer strength this cat has is freaking amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. He plays with that nasty mean streak. Does a nice job of getting an initial push. And if you see him out in space, then God rest your soul. You're probably, I hope the last thing you said to your loved ones was, don't forget me, because you are as good as dead. That is the type of blocker JPJ is. He fires out the stance quickly. He plays with a good pad level, does a nice job of like comboing up blocks, and he is just got high-end experience along that offensive interior. I'm confident he could be plug and play at guard, plug and play at center. We're talking about just a great prospect right here. Now, he can pull block, but his quicks and foot speed aren't high end, but I think they're good enough to where it just doesn't bother me that much. But I will say, this man, whatever you want to say about his quicks and foot speed, he still lands his blocks out in space. And again, God rest their souls. He is a bit more comfortable going forward than he is backwards. He is kind of helped by kind of a quick game there at Oregon. But he has developed pretty well in pass protection over the course of 2022 to 2023. We're talking about a phenomenal prospect that is kind of a fringe top 20 player for me. It's just you just turn on the tape and just get the tissues and lotion out. That is Jackson Powers Johnson's game. He will be at the Senior Bowl, and I hope you take a good look at the names along that defensive line. Don't forget them, because God rest their souls. But that's it for the video. I did say I'm going to do tackles later, so be on the look for that. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.